Have you ever felt like a complete failure in life? I mean, over a house you don't even want.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. Or felt this crushing, like, physical weight in your chest just because some stranger on the internet posted a 5-second video of their impeccably clean kitchen.
Yeah, that sinking feeling. It's so common.
It is. And why do our brains naturally sabotage us by, comparing our absolute worst days to a complete stranger's fake perfection?
Well, it's a profoundly universal human experience, and it's actually rooted deep in our evolutionary biology. But we rarely talk about the actual mechanics of why it happens, or honestly, how the technology we use every single day is designed to exploit it.
Exactly. So today we are decoding the psychology of this comparison trap. We're exposing the invisible mirror that social media algorithms hold up to us. And crucially, we're giving you the exact high-level English vocabulary you need to articulate and ultimately disarm this feeling.
Yes, because having the right words changes everything.
It really does. And before we get into the details, I want to give you the numbers right up front so you know the exact value of what you're getting today.
The roadmap, basically.
Right, roadmap. Today, we are going to master 3 core psychological strategies, break down 5 powerful advanced vocabulary words, and unlock 1 crucial mindset shift.
So that is 9 important points that will completely transform both your mental confidence and your English fluency.
9 points that really bridge that gap between, suffering through a complex emotion and actually possessing the linguistic tools to express it clearly and professionally. So, welcome to English Learning Podcast for daily life, real conversation, and easy listening practice.
We are so glad you're here.
We really are. This deep dive is designed specifically for you. Whether you are a B2 level English learner, a professional navigating a competitive global workplace, or just anyone who wants to improve their everyday fluency while tackling very real mental hurdles.
And we have a request for you right at the top of this deep dive.
Yes, a big request. I want you to speak out loud today. True fluency does not come from passive listening. It comes from active and sometimes really uncomfortable practice.
Definitely uncomfortable at first.
Yeah. So when we prompt you to repeat a phrase, say it out loud wherever you are, build that muscle memory.
Because that is the core mission of this deep dive. We aren't just exploring the toxic nature of comparison from like a purely psychological standpoint.
Right.
We are actively turning those uncomfortable, heavy feelings into actionable English vocabulary. The goal is for you to articulate your internal state perfectly without freezing up or reverting to basic beginner-level words. Knowledge is only valuable when applied, and in language learning, application means vocalization.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's jump right into the trap of modern comparison. But wait until you hear exactly how algorithms measure your micro-interactions to intentionally keep you one step behind.
That part is always mind-blowing.
It's scary, honestly. We'll get to the technology in just a moment. First, we really need to address the human element.
Because the human element is where the vulnerability lies. This trap catches almost everyone, typically in their most fatigued state. Usually when they're quietly scrolling on their phone at the end of a long, exhausting day.
Yeah, you're tired, your defenses are down. Let's start by looking at a specific, highly relatable scenario because it highlights an incredibly uncomfortable truth about how illogical our brains can be.
Oh, our brains are so illogical.
Right. It's generally acknowledged that you can be scrolling and see a post from an old acquaintance, someone your exact same age, announcing they just bought a house. And for about 4 or 5 minutes, you genuinely feel a sinking sensation.
You feel like you're failing at life.
Completely. You feel entirely inadequate. But if you stop and actually analyze the situation, it makes absolutely no sense. You do not even want to own a house right now.
Right. You might love your apartment in the city.
Exactly. And you might actually hate the suburban neighborhood they just bought into.
Or consider the career equivalent. You see an update that a former university classmate received a major promotion to vice president of their division.
Oh, that's a classic one.
Yeah. Suddenly your heart rate spikes. You are questioning your entire career trajectory, wondering, am I falling behind?
Yes.
But if you were to actually read the job description for the role they just accepted, it involves 80-hour work weeks, managing a team of 50 people, and constant travel, a lifestyle you would absolutely despise.
I have to stop and push back on my own psychology here. Why do we do this? What is the mechanism? Because on paper, it is completely irrational to feel jealous over a life, a house, or a job that we do not actually want to live.
It seems irrational until you view it through the lens of evolutionary biology.
Okay, biology.
Right. What is happening in that moment of jealousy is never really about the specific object.
Yeah.
It's not about the real estate, and it is not about the corporate title. It is about a much quieter, deeper, and more primitive anxiety.
What kind of anxiety?
It is the sinking feeling that everyone else got the instructions for life, and you somehow missed the meeting.
Oh, wow. Everyone else got the instructions for life, and I missed the meeting. That is a brilliant way to phrase it. It perfectly captures that specific flavor of modern anxiety.
It is believed by evolutionary biologists that humans have a profound hardwired need to belong to the group. For hundreds of thousands of years, our survival depended on being in sync with our tribe.
Because if you weren't...
Exactly. If you were falling behind the rest of the group, if they were finding shelter and you weren't, if they were foraging successfully and you weren't, you're at serious risk of being exiled. And in the ancestral environment, being separated from the tribe meant certain death.
So our brains developed a highly sensitive threat detection system based entirely on social standing and pure milestones.
Precisely. Your brain is constantly scanning your peers to ensure you're keeping up, because keeping up equals survival. When you see those milestones online, even if they are milestones you consciously do not want, your primitive brain misinterprets them as evidence that you are failing to keep pace with the tribe.
And that triggers the panic.
It triggers a massive stress response. You feel like there was a secret handbook handed out to the group, a crucial strategy meeting where everyone was told how to succeed in this era, and your invitation got lost in the mail.
That reframes the entire experience for me. It isn't a character flaw, it's a survival mechanism misfiring in a modern environment.
A complete misfire.
But let's look at the scale of this misfire, because the environment we live in now is entirely alien to the one our brains evolved in. Historically, humans only ever compare themselves to a very small, localized group of people, right?
That is the core of the modern crisis. The human brain evolved to manage social comparisons within a tribe of roughly 20 to perhaps 150 people.
Just your immediate circle.
Right. You compared yourself to your immediate neighbors, your siblings, the people in your small village. Crucially, these were people you observed in 3 dimensions. You saw their successes, yes, but you also witnessed their daily struggles, their bad moods, their failures. You had a complete realistic data set for your comparison.
Fast forward to today, we are no longer comparing ourselves to the 20 people in our village. We are constantly exposed to the curated highlights of thousands, sometimes millions, of strangers from all over the globe, just popping up on glowing screens in the palm of our hands.
The scale is mathematically unprecedented. We are not neurologically wired to process the achievements, wealth, and beauty of thousands of people simultaneously. It completely overwhelms our natural assessment of where we stand in the social hierarchy, forcing our threat detection system into absolute overdrive.
Wow. Okay, before we move into how algorithms actively exploit this biological vulnerability, we really need to turn this psychological insight into practical language tools. This is a language deep dive, after all.
Let's do it.
Let's look closely at the phrasing you used, missed the meeting, and the phrase I used earlier, unpack this. These are essential for conversational fluency.
Let's start with the idiom, missed the meeting. In a literal business context, it just means you did not attend a scheduled gathering in a conference room.
Like you literally weren't there at 10 a.m.
Exactly. But metaphorically, which is how native speakers use it in casual high-level conversation, it means feeling completely out of the loop. It describes the sensation of being unaware of important cultural or social information that everyone else seems to grasp naturally.
It is highly descriptive. Let me give you an example sentence of how you might use this with a close colleague or friend. When I look at how easily my coworkers navigate office politics, I feel like I missed the meeting on how to communicate with management.
That's a perfect example.
Notice how natural that sounds, right? It is far more sophisticated and precise than just saying, I am confused by office politics. You are painting a vivid picture of your internal emotional state.
The second phrase is unpack this. This is an incredibly versatile phrasal verb, particularly useful for B2 and C1 learners entering academic or professional environments.
We use this all the time.
Constantly. Literally, to unpack means to take your clothes out of a suitcase after a trip. But metaphorically, to unpack this means to carefully, systematically analyze a complex idea, a dense piece of text, or a complicated emotional situation. You are taking the individual components out one by one to examine them.
It's a great transition phrase in meetings. An example sentence could be, "That is a really complicated strategy you just proposed, so let's take a moment to unpack this before we make a decision."
Very professional.
Okay, we are going to do our first pause, break, and speaking practice right now. I'm going to say a crucial sentence from this section. I want you, the listener, to pause, listen to the rhythm and the stress of the words, and repeat it out loud. Do not just think it, say it.
Out loud is key.
Here we go. It's not about the job, it's about feeling left behind.
Take a second. Notice how the sentence flows. Pay special attention to the natural emphasis on the words job and behind. Let's try it again.
It's not about the job, it's about feeling left behind.
Mastering the physical mechanics of these sentences is what moves your English from sounding like a textbook translation to sounding like natural human communication.
So true. So if we know we are biologically wired to compare, and we know we are looking at a fundamentally unnatural scale of thousands of strangers, why does it feel so deeply personal?
That's where the technology comes in.
Right. What is fascinating here is how the gap between reality and the internet is intentionally engineered to trap your attention. But before we get to the technology behind the gap, just a quick reminder.
Oh, yes.
If you are enjoying this deep dive so far, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, stick around because there's an incredibly valuable bonus at the very end of this session that will completely change how you structure your answers in English conversations.
You definitely want to stay for that. So let's address the concept of the gap. This is where the psychological illusion of the social media feed truly takes hold. When we are looking at those thousands of strangers, we have to intellectually remind ourselves of the medium we are consuming.
Which is really hard to do in the moment.
Very hard.
Right.
We are looking at a 5-second, highly edited highlight. We are absolutely not looking at their messy, chaotic 24-hour reality.
Exactly. Nobody posts the massive, tearful argument they had with their spouse in the hotel room right before walking out to the balcony to take that smiling, golden hour vacation photo.
No one.
Nobody updates their professional network by saying, "I just cried in my car from sheer stress for 20 minutes before walking into this fancy restaurant to celebrate my new promotion." We only see the end result. We only see the trophy.
They post the celebratory dinner. They post the smiling faces. They post the perfect lighting. And what our brains do in response is profoundly unfair. We instantly compare our entire exhausting, complicated, mundane day to their single, polished, digitally enhanced fraction of a second.
Let me try to put this into an analogy. Imagine walking into a casino where the slot machines don't pay out money. They pay out social standing.
Okay, I like that.
Every time you pull the lever, or in this case, refresh your feed, you are hoping to see something that makes you feel connected or entertained. But the machine is rigged. It is designed to ensure you always feel like you're just one coin away from winning, while constantly showing you the jackpots of everyone around you. You are comparing your dwindling pile of coins to the flashing lights of someone else's victory.
That captures the addictive nature of it perfectly. It's a system of intermittent variable rewards. But let's bring it back to the visual illusion. You are comparing a living, breathing reality to a fabricated image. And that is where the negative motion takes root.
In that gap.
Exactly. That sudden drop in your stomach, that flash of inadequacy, it lives entirely in the gap. The gap between their carefully selected 5 seconds and your entire 24 hours. You are intimately aware of your own tiredness, your financial stress, your self-doubt, but you have zero visibility into theirs. So suddenly, your completely normal, functioning life feels like a massive failure, even though absolutely nothing in your physical environment actually changed.
That is the most terrifying part to me. A piece of glass in your hand can completely alter your perception of your own life without a single atom in your real world shifting.
It's wild when you think about it.
It really is. But here is where we need to talk about the technology because it gets incredibly dark. The algorithm, the millions of lines of code governing what appears on your screen, is not just showing you a random chronological list of what your friends are doing.
This is a critical point about technological intention. Algorithms on major platforms are explicitly designed for one metric above all others: retention.
Keeping you on the app.
Their primary directive is to maximize your dwell time, the amount of time you spend looking at the screen. The data scientists behind these platforms know that you will not keep scrolling if you only see people who are completely unrelatable to you, or people whose lives look significantly worse than yours.
Wait, let me challenge that. I see billionaires and massive celebrities on my feed all the time. I see private jets and yachts. That is not relatable to me at all. That is completely out of my universe. If the algorithm knows I can't relate, why does it push that content?
That is an excellent observation. The algorithm categorizes content differently. The billionaire on the yacht functions as pure entertainment or fantasy.
Like watching a movie.
Precisely. It rarely triggers deep, painful jealousy because the distance between you and the billionaire is too vast. Your brain doesn't process someone like Elon Musk as a member of your immediate tribe, so his success doesn't threaten your social standing. The real danger, the content the algorithm uses to hook your deep emotional circuitry, is the peer.
I see. It's the person who is just like me, but slightly better.
Exactly. The algorithm tracks your micro interactions. It measures the extra half second you hover over a fitness model's photo or the specific type of career update you click on. It builds a psychological profile of your aspirations and your insecurities.
And then it uses that against you.
Then it populates your feed with people who are slightly ahead of you, slightly wealthier, slightly more fit, slightly more successful in your specific industry. It tests different strata of success to find the exact threshold that maximizes your attention without making you so depressed that you close the app.
So it's not just a slot machine, it's a funhouse mirror.
Yes, a funhouse mirror.
It's like walking into a carnival and being handed a mirror that is mathematically engineered to always make you look just a little bit smaller, a little bit wider, or a little bit behind everyone else in the room. You think you are looking through a window into reality, but you are actually looking into a distorted mirror designed to keep you staring at your own perceived flaws.
That is exactly what is happening. It is not comparison by accident. It is comparison by algorithmic design.
Yeah.
Recognizing this mechanism is incredibly freeing. The former classmate posting about their promotion isn't maliciously trying to make you feel bad.
Right, they're just posting their life.
But the machine learning model that decided to place that specific post at the top of your feed at 11:70 p.m. did so because it predicted it would maximize your emotional engagement.
This brings us to some vital, high-level vocabulary for our language learners. If you want to discuss the impact of technology on society in a professional or academic setting, you really need words like curated and the phrasal verb put together.
Let's analyze curated first. This is a fantastic C1 level adjective. C-U-R-A-T-E-D. Historically, this word was strictly used in the context of art galleries and museums.
Right, like a museum curator.
A museum curator is a highly trained professional who carefully selects which paintings to display. They do not just throw every piece of art they own onto the wall. They select the most compelling pieces, arrange the lighting perfectly, and create a very specific narrative for the visitor.
So the linguistic shift here is fascinating. When we apply curated to a person's social media presence, we are saying they're acting as the museum director of their own life.
That's a great way to put it.
They are ruthlessly editing out the boring or ugly parts and selecting only the most attractive, successful moments for public consumption. Example sentence. Her online profile is highly curated. It gives the illusion of perfection but completely hides her daily struggles. By using curated, you show a sophisticated understanding of the artificial nature of the media.
Next is the phrase put together. This is commonly used as an adjective phrase to describe a person's demeanor or appearance. When you say someone is very put together, you mean they appear exceptionally organized, composed, and successful.
They just look like they have it all figured out.
Their clothing is immaculate, their career is progressing smoothly, and they project an aura of calm competence, regardless of what might actually be happening internally.
It's the ultimate compliment, but also a source of great intimidation. Let's look at an example sentence. Even during the most stressful project deadlines, the senior manager always looks so put together, which makes the rest of us feel completely chaotic.
Notice how we can use these advanced words to describe the illusion we've been discussing. The algorithm pushes a highly curated feed, which makes everyone else look perfectly put together while you feel like a mess.
I love how those words connect. I strongly encourage our listeners to integrate these specific terms into their professional vocabulary. It elevates your English far beyond basic descriptions like they look nice or their photos are pretty, allowing you to communicate complex sociological concepts fluently.
Absolutely.
But hold on a second. I need to play devil's advocate here because we are painting all comparison as a toxic, algorithmic nightmare. Is comparison always the bad guy?
That's a very fair question.
Because in my own life, jealousy has sometimes been a massive superpower. When my best friend started training for a marathon last year, I didn't feel that sinking, toxic resentment. I actually felt incredibly motivated. Seeing her wake up early and put in the work made me think, wow, if she can do it while working a full-time job, that is actually possible for me too. It wasn't a painful feeling at all. It was a catalyst.
That is a crucial distinction. And it proves that the biological urge to compare is not inherently negative. What you are describing is the psychological concept of distance in comparison. To understand how to use comparison to your advantage, we have to break it down into two distinct categories: near comparison and far comparison.
Let's unpack the mechanics of this distance. Why did my friend running a marathon act as a positive near comparison? What is happening in the brain there?
Near comparison involves observing someone whose reality is very close to your own. You know this friend intimately. You know her daily schedule. You know her dietary habits. You know that she also struggles with motivation on rainy mornings.
Right, I know she's not a superhuman.
You know her exact starting point. Therefore, when you see her succeed, your brain can accurately map the trajectory.
So it's not a mystery. I can see the exact steps she took.
Exactly. It shows your brain a clear, logical path. Because the starting variables are so similar to your own, the cognitive load required to understand her success is very low. Your brain easily connects the dots between point A and point B.
That makes so much sense.
And when the brain sees a viable path to a desirable outcome, it releases dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter associated with motivation and goal-directed behavior. It feels inspiring because it is actionable information.
It showed me a path, not just an unbridgeable gap. I love the science behind that. So what is the inverse? What defines a far comparison?
Far comparison occurs when the distance between your reality and the subject's reality is too vast, or when the variables are completely obscured. It is the stranger's curated mansion online. It is the fitness influencer who is secretly taking performance-enhancing drugs and using heavy photo filters.
Oh, that's the worst.
The distance is so great and the truth is so hidden that it offers absolutely no practical steps for you to follow.
So my brain can't map the trajectory. I just see the end result and feel terrible because I have no idea how to get there. It doesn't show me a path. It just feels like a punch to the gut.
A punch, not a path. That is a brilliant heuristic for evaluating your social media feed. Far comparison gives your brain no actionable data because it perceives a massive difference in social hierarchy but cannot formulate a plan to close the gap. The brain doesn't release dopamine.
What does it release instead?
Instead, it triggers a stress response, releasing cortisol. It creates a profound sense of smallness, helplessness, and inadequacy. Near comparisons provide a high-resolution map you can learn from. Far comparisons provide a low-resolution illusion that breeds resentment.
Resentment. We need to stop right here and do a deep dive into this specific word because this is heavy, advanced C1 vocabulary that is absolutely essential for navigating adult emotions and complex interpersonal dynamics.
Resentment. R-E-S-E-N-T-M-E-N-T.
It is a weighty word, but a deeply necessary one for honest communication. Resentment is frequently confused with anger, but psychologically and linguistically, they operate very differently.
How so? Anger is an explosive, loud emotion. It is a fire that flares up quickly in response to an immediate provocation. Resentment, however, is quiet. It is chronic. It is the bitter, simmering, subterranean feeling of injustice. It is the silent internal monologue of, why not me? I work just as hard. Why do they get the reward and I don't?
Anger might cause you to yell and then burn out in an hour, but resentment can live quietly in the back of your mind for years, slowly poisoning a friendship or a professional relationship if you don't address it.
Exactly, it's toxic.
Let's look at an example sentence for the workplace. I felt a quiet resentment building up over several months when my junior coworker consistently received credit for the projects I had managed.
What is fascinating about learning to use this word is that acknowledging the resentment verbally often diminishes its psychological power. Most people feel deep shame when they experience jealousy or bitterness. We tell ourselves we shouldn't feel that way, so we suppress it.
Which just makes it worse, right?
Always. Suppressing it just adds guilt to the resentment. Naming it accurately, saying I am experiencing resentment, moves the emotion from the primitive part of the brain into the prefrontal cortex, where you can analyze it rationally.
That is such a powerful tool. You can't fix a problem until you can name it accurately. So we're going to do a role play and interactive exercise right now to practice this. This is where you, the listener, need to participate out loud.
This will be very helpful. We're going to construct a scenario. Imagine you are having a coffee with a trusted partner or a close mentor. You are discussing a mutual friend's recent, massive entrepreneurial success. You want to express your complex, mixed emotions clearly and honestly, utilizing our new advanced vocabulary.
I'm going to play the role of your conversation partner. I will ask you a question, and I want you to respond out loud, right wherever you are. Try to incorporate the word resentment and the concept of a near comparison showing a path. I will ask the question, give you a few seconds to think, and then we will practice the ideal response. Ready? Here we go.
Listen closely.
Hey, I noticed you've been a bit quiet since Sarah announced her new startup got major funding. How are you honestly feeling about it all?
We'll give you about 3 seconds to form your thought.
Formulating complex emotional responses in a second language is incredibly challenging. If you hesitated, that is completely normal.
Very normal.
Here is a high-level model of how you might structure that answer. Listen to the phrasing and then repeat it.
Honestly, I struggled with a bit of resentment at first. But because she is a close friend and I know her process, her success is actually showing me a tangible path to start my own project.
Let's break that down and try it together. Repeat after me out loud, feeling the rhythm of the complex sentence. Honestly, I struggled with a bit of resentment at first.
Now the pivot. But because she is a close friend and I know her process.
And the conclusion.
Yeah.
Her success is actually showing me a tangible path.
Excellent. Practicing these multifaceted sentences out loud demystifies advanced vocabulary, making it accessible for real-world conversations where you need to project emotional intelligence.
So, we've established that telling yourself to simply stop comparing is useless advice. It fights against millions of years of evolutionary wiring. But if we must compare, there is one specific person you should compare yourself to every single day to ensure a healthy mindset. Do you know who that is?
This transitions us perfectly into our actionable strategies. We have thoroughly diagnosed the problem. We understand the evolutionary threat detection system, the algorithm's distorted funhouse mirror, the gap between the highlight reel and reality, and the neurochemical difference between near and far comparison.
That's a lot of theory.
It is. So now we provide the antidotes.
We have 3 highly actionable strategies to neutralize the toxicity of comparison. Let's begin with strategy number 1. Compare to your past self. But we need to be specific. Do not compare yourself to a vague idea of your past. Compare yourself to your own Tuesday from exactly 1 year ago.
From a psychological standpoint, this is the most robust strategy you can employ. If the human brain insists on measuring progress through comparison, we must provide it with a fair, controlled baseline.
You can't compare yourself to Elon Musk.
Exactly. You absolutely cannot compete with a stranger's highly curated, algorithmically amplified highlight reel. The variables are entirely unknown. But you can compete with your own historical data.
Think deeply about this. Are you functioning better today than you were on a random Tuesday exactly 1 year ago? And I'm not asking if you achieved massive wealth or bought a yacht. I mean the micro baselines. Is your baseline level of anxiety slightly lower? Are you speaking slightly more fluently in English meetings? When a crisis hits at work, do you recover your composure 10 minutes faster than you used to? Are you setting slightly better boundaries?
It lowers the dramatic bar of success, but it replaces it with a highly accurate, localized reality.
Well,
you know exactly what resources, what trauma, and what energy levels you possessed a year ago.
it's a fair fight.
It is a completely fair fight. When you compare yourself to your past self, the brain recognizes a legitimate, achievable path. You can genuinely witness incremental progress, which triggers a steady, sustainable release of dopamine.
The brutal truth about this strategy is that nobody claps for micro progress online. You cannot post a status update saying, I handled a passive-aggressive email from my boss 15% more calmly than I would have in 2023, and expect 100 comments and fire emojis. The internet does not reward slow, invisible, internal growth, but that is the only progress that actually builds a resilient life.
Exactly. It shifts your locus of control from external validation to internal competence, which flows seamlessly into strategy number 2, the quiet unfollow.
The quiet unfollow. I am obsessed with this concept. If there is an account on your feed, whether it's an influencer, an old classmate, or even a relative that consistently makes you feel small, anxious, or inadequate every time their face pops up, just quietly unfollow them. Or mute them if unfollowing causes logistical problems.
It sounds elementary, yet adults rarely grant themselves the permission to execute it. People experience a bizarre psychological friction when considering unfollowing someone. They feel a sense of guilt, as if they are committing a rude act, even if the account belongs to a stranger on another continent who will literally never know they lost a follower.
Why do we feel that guilt? Let's analyze that. We think we have to make a grand, dramatic statement. We feel the need to announce, I am doing a digital detox to clear out toxic energy. No, drama is completely unnecessary.
Not necessary at all.
You simply tap a piece of glass and you instantly remove a distorted mirror from your daily environment. There is a profound quote from the research that I want to highlight because it completely reframes this guilt. Your feed is not a moral duty, it is your mental space.
Let's unpack the semantics of that quote. A moral duty implies a fundamental ethical obligation that you must fulfill to be considered a good, functioning member of society. Paying taxes, caring for your children, helping a neighbor during a medical emergency, these are moral duties. Consuming a stranger's heavily edited fitness journey or a colleague's vacation photos is absolutely not a moral obligation. You owe them 0 seconds of your attention. Your mental space, however, is your most precious, finite resource. You possess the absolute right, and I would argue, the responsibility to ruthlessly curate the inputs that enter your brain.
I want every listener to memorize that. Your feed is not a moral duty, it is your mental space. Write it on a sticky note and put it on your bathroom mirror.
And this leads us to strategy number 3, the detective work. When the negative emotion strikes, ask yourself, what is this feeling actually pointing at?
This requires a high degree of self-awareness. When you are scrolling and you feel that sudden sharp spike of jealousy over someone's post, your default reaction is just to wallow and feeling awful. But instead, you need to pause and become a detective of your own mind. Ask yourself clearly, what is this emotion actually about?
Let's return to the earlier example of the former classmate who became a vice president. If you feel a wave of inadequacy upon seeing a promotion, force yourself to pause and ask the analytical questions.
Like what?
Do I actually want that specific job? Am I willing to work the 80 hours a week? Do I want the pressure of managing a massive team? Do I even care about that particular industry?
And as we established, 9 times out of 10, the honest answer is a resounding no. You would hate that job. So what is the jealousy pointing at? It is usually just the primitive fear of being left behind. You are experiencing the panic of missing the meeting. You aren't jealous of the job. You are jealous of the certainty and the status the job represents.
By interrogating the emotion, you separate the useless noise from your actual authentic goals. Occasionally, a near comparison will point at a genuine desire you have been suppressing, like realizing you do want to start a business. But more often than not, it is just algorithmic noise triggering biological panic. Identifying the difference instantly diffuses the anxiety.
Before we transition into our final language upgrade section, let's lock in 2 more crucial vocabulary words that tie directly into these psychological strategies. We need to dissect the C1 words inadequate and validation.
Let's begin with inadequate. I-N-A-D-E, Q-U-A-T-E. This adjective describes the precise sensation of not being good enough. It is the fundamental emotion generated by far comparisons.
Break down the read for us.
Linguistically, it combines the prefix in, meaning not, with adequate, meaning sufficient to meet a standard. It doesn't just mean you feel sad. It means you feel you lack the necessary intrinsic qualities, resources, or abilities to meet the demands of your environment.
The pronunciation can trip up learners. It's inadequate. Notice how the stress falls heavily on the second syllable. In adequate. Let's practice it in context. Comparing the reality of my messy living room to their curated architectural photos always leaves me feeling profoundly inadequate. Say that out loud with me, focusing on the stress. Comparing the reality of my messy living room to their curated architectural photos always leaves me feeling profoundly inadequate.
Superb. Our final core vocabulary word is validation. V-A-L-I-D-A-T-I-O-N. Validation refers to the act of seeking approval, acceptance, or external confirmation that your thoughts, feelings, or achievements are worthwhile.
We all need a little validation sometimes.
We do. But the psychological danger of the modern digital age is that we have outsourced our need for validation. We seek external validation measured in likes, comments, retweets, and views, rather than cultivating internal validation, which comes from meeting our own standards.
When you hesitate to post something because you are worried it won't get enough likes, you are entirely dependent on external validation. When you wait for someone else to applaud your micro progress, you are seeking validation. Let's look at an example sentence. I had to take a step back and realize I was only taking on that extra project at work to get some external validation for the boss, not because it advanced my actual career goals.
It's a highly mature, self-aware word to use when analyzing human behavior in a corporate setting.
These are not merely sophisticated words to pass an English proficiency exam. These are the exact linguistic tools required to map the psychological terrain of your own mind at 11:00 p.m. while you are trapped in a scrolling loop.
Now we fully understand the evolutionary psychology. We have decoded the algorithmic engineering. We are armed with the strategies.
But here's the stark reality for many advanced English learners.
Yes.
You know exactly what these complex feelings are in your native language. You have the emotional intelligence. But when forced to articulate them in English, especially in a professional setting, a cognitive block occurs. You freeze up. You abandon the nuance and resort to basic B1 level vocabulary that completely fails to capture your actual intelligence.
And that's frustrating.
So, it is time to completely upgrade your conversational English.
This is a critical pedagogical transition. Elevating your phrasing from basic B1 to advanced B2 and C1 structures allows you to project authenticity, emotional intelligence, and professional competence. We call this practical application section, Say It Better.
We have selected 6 incredibly common, overly simplistic sentences about comparison in social media. We are going to transform them into upgraded, natural, high-level English, and we will analyze exactly why the upgrade works linguistically and socially.
Let's examine the first sentence. The basic beginner sentence is, I feel bad when I see other people's success.
This is a very common starting point, but the word bad is aggressively generic. It lacks all emotional intelligence. If you say this to a colleague, what do they understand? Does bad mean you are angry? Does it mean you feel physically ill? Does it mean you are depressed? It communicates almost nothing useful.
Exactly. When you compress a complex emotional reaction into the word bad, you strip the nuance from your experience. Here is the upgraded C1 level sentence. Seeing other people's success sometimes makes me feel inadequate.
Seeing other people's success sometimes makes me feel inadequate. This is a massive improvement. By explicitly naming the feeling inadequate, you demonstrate high emotional literacy. Furthermore, adding the adverb sometimes is a brilliant conversational tactic.
It softens it.
Right. It makes the statement honest and vulnerable without making you sound like a chronically miserable or bitter person. It frames it as a passing state, not a permanent trait.
It softens the vulnerability while maximizing the precision. Let's have the listener practice the rhythm. Repeat after me. Seeing other people's success sometimes makes me feel inadequate.
Moving on to sentence number 2. The basic sentence is, I post things to feel good about myself.
This is honest, but it sounds somewhat juvenile or entirely lacking in self-reflection. We can elevate this to sound significantly more mature and analytically sound. The upgraded sentence is, sometimes I post just to get a little validation.
Sometimes I post just to get a little validation. This upgrade is fantastic. It doesn't make you sound fake or needy. It communicates a wry, self-aware understanding of human nature. You are acknowledging, yes, I am participating in this digital game because I occasionally want to feel seen. Almost every adult in the modern workforce understands and respects that level of honesty. Utilizing the word validation here signals high-level emotional intelligence in English.
Let's practice the intonation on that one. Listener, shadow my pronunciation. Sometimes I post just to get a little validation.
Excellent. Now for sentence number 3. The basic sentence is, I feel angry when my friend does better.
That is an incredibly uncomfortable thing to admit out loud, and usually angry isn't even the scientifically accurate emotion, as we discussed. Anger sounds aggressive and potentially dangerous to the friendship.
What's a better way to say it?
The upgraded sentence is, honestly, I feel a bit of resentment when a friend gets ahead.
Honestly, I feel a bit of resentment when a friend gets ahead. This is a masterclass in conversational English. First, we deploy our C1 vocabulary word, resentment, accurately describing the quiet, bitter nature of the feeling. But the real magic is in the modifying phrase, a bit of.
Yes, inserting a bit of before a heavy noun dramatically softens the impact of the sentence.
Yeah.
You are not declaring, I despise my friend's success. You are taking an observational stance, stating, this complex feeling arose, and I am noticing it. It makes you sound analytical and grounded, rather than volatile and explosive.
Say it out loud to build the muscle memory required for these softer conversational pivots. Honestly, I feel a bit of resentment when a friend gets ahead.
Perfect. Sentence number 4. The basic sentence is, comparing to my old self is better.
The underlying philosophy here is sound. It's strategy number 1, but the grammatical structure is clunky and rudimentary. Let's smooth it out so it sounds like a legitimate psychological tactic. The upgraded sentence is, comparing myself to last year gives me a fairer perspective.
Let's isolate the word perspective. P-E-R-S-P-E-C-T-I-V-E. This noun refers to your specific vantage point, your way of perceiving and contextualizing reality. By utilizing perspective instead of just saying something is better, you demonstrate that you understand comparison as an intellectual tool you use to calibrate your view of the world rather than just an emotional reaction.
The version of you from exactly 1 year ago is a mathematically fairer baseline to compare yourself against than a billionaire or curated influencer. Therefore, it provides a fairer perspective. Practice the flow of this sentence. Comparing myself to last year gives me a fairer perspective.
Proceeding to sentence number 5. The basic sentence is, that post made me feel like giving up.
This describes a very severe emotional crash. Many people experience this sudden loss of energy after scrolling, but stating it this bluntly can cause concern or sound overly dramatic in casual conversation. We can express this sudden loss of momentum with much more precision. The upgraded sentence is, that post left me feeling discouraged instead of inspired.
Let's focus on the word discouraged. D-I-S-C-O-U-R-A-G-E-D. This adjective means you have been drained of your confidence, enthusiasm, or motivation to continue a task. This linguistic upgrade is powerful for 2 reasons. First, it accurately diagnoses the effect of a FAR comparison.
And the second reason?
Second, by explicitly contrasting discouraged with its antonym, inspired, you elegantly articulate the dichotomy we explored earlier, the difference between a healthy near comparison showing a path which inspires, and a toxic FAR comparison showing a gap which discourages.
The contrast makes the sentence incredibly dynamic. Shadow this sentence with me, emphasizing the contrasting words. That post left me feeling discouraged instead of inspired.
Finally, sentence number 6. The basic sentence is, I stopped following someone because they made me feel bad.
While factually true, this phrasing sounds slightly juvenile. It places the locus of control entirely on the other person, bordering on blaming them for your internal emotional state. Let's rephrase this to sound calmer, more authoritative, and entirely peaceful. The upgraded sentence is, I unfollowed someone because that comparison wasn't doing me any good.
Wasn't doing me any good. That is a stellar, highly idiomatic phrase used constantly by native speakers. It is the perfect linguistic tool for establishing a boundary without introducing conflict or drama. There is zero blame assigned. You are not accusing the other person of being toxic or malicious. You are calmly stating a fact about your own mental ecosystem that specific data input was not yielding a healthy result.
It is the ultimate quiet boundary. You take ownership of your mental space. Let's practice this final empowering upgrade out loud. I unfollowed someone because that comparison wasn't doing me any good.
Learning to utilize these upgraded sentences is not an exercise in pretending that the biological urge to compare has miraculously vanished. The urge will always remain. Upgrading your vocabulary is about enhancing your ability to observe the urge objectively. Because when you possess the precise language to name the exact feeling, whether it is resentment, inadequacy, or the need for validation, you move the emotion out of the shadows and into the light where you can actually manage it.
That is an incredibly empowering realization. Elevating your English vocabulary isn't just about sounding smarter in a boardroom or passing an exam. It is literally giving yourself the cognitive tools to process and navigate the complexities of your own life.
And as we bring this comprehensive deep dive to a close, I want to leave the listener with a final provocative thought, a psychological puzzle to ponder over the coming days.
Ooh, I love a good puzzle.
We have firmly established that your entire, complex, multifaceted life is not supposed to be measured against the algorithmically selected, perfectly lit 5 seconds of a stranger's highlight reel. But consider the deeper implications of this illusion. What else in your life have you convinced yourself you deeply want, purely because you saw someone else possess it? What is a milestone you compared yourself over, a goal you perhaps lost sleep agonizing over, that you eventually attained, only to realize you never actually wanted it in the first place? Wow. That is a staggering question to sit with. Was it a specific make of luxury car? A managerial title that sounded impressive but made you miserable? A perfectly aesthetic, minimalist living room that turned out to be entirely impractical to actually live in? I want you to interrogate your past goals, and more importantly, I want you to share your revelation with us. Scroll down to the comment box right now. Tell us, what is something you fiercely compared yourself over that you later realized was just algorithmic noise, something you didn't even want? We really want to read those.
And while you have the comment box open, I have a specific, actionable challenge for you to prove you are an active learner, not just a passive listener. Pick one key word or one idiom that we thoroughly unpacked today. It could be inadequate, validation, resentment, curated, or the idiom missed the meeting. Select just one and construct your own completely original example sentence using it and post it in the comments.
Applying newly acquired vocabulary immediately in a novel context is scientifically the most effective method to ensure the language transfers from your fragile short-term memory into your robust, active speaking vocabulary.
Exactly. We read the comments, and it is amazing to see your progress. And listen, to visually demonstrate that you possess the focus and dedication to make it all the way to the very end of a dense educational deep dive, I want you to append a specific phrase to your comment. At the very end of your sentence, write, "I am consistent," in the comment box. That signals to us and to yourself that you are serious about your fluency journey and you do not quit when the material gets challenging. Also, we rely on your feedback. Write your thoughts down below and tell us directly. Which kind of specific psychological or professional topic do you want us to tackle for the next video? We build this curriculum for you, so dictate what you need.
Now, it's time for the promised bonus we teased at the inception of this episode.
Yes, the bonus material. I'm thrilled to share this framework. This is called the 4-part answer builder strategy. It is believed by top-tier language acquisition experts that delivering a fully formed, natural-sounding C1 level answer in conversation requires 4 distinct sequential components. If you struggle with giving short, abrupt, robotic answers that sound like they were memorized from a textbook, you must adopt this framework.
The architecture of a perfect conversational response consists of these 4 steps in order: add a reason, add an example, add a feeling, and finally, add a personal detail.
Let me demonstrate exactly how transformative this framework is, utilizing the themes from today's deep dive. Imagine a colleague notices you aren't on a specific platform anymore and asks you, "Why did you delete your social media app?" A robotic B1 level short answer would simply be, "Because I didn't like it." It stops the conversation dead. But utilizing the 4-part answer builder, your response expands into a rich, engaging narrative. It sounds like this. 1, the reason. I deleted it because I realized it was occupying far too much of my mental space. 2, the example. For example, I would find myself mindlessly scrolling for an hour every night, just absorbing curated photos of other people's architectural homes. 3, the feeling. It consistently left me feeling inadequate and entirely discouraged about my own financial progress. And 4, the personal detail. So last Tuesday evening, I made the decision to just quietly unfollow everyone and delete the app entirely in order to gain a fair perspective on my own real life. Analyze how rich and conversational that structured answer is. It seamlessly integrates the high-level vocabulary we mastered today, and it flows with a natural, logical cadence. Reason, example, feeling, personal detail. I challenge you to apply that specific 4-part framework during your next English conversation, whether in a meeting or a casual chat.
It is an absolute game changer for conversational fluidity. If you extracted value from this video and you are committed to taking your fluency to the professional level, smash that like button. Furthermore, if you want to reinforce your reading comprehension with a full, detailed article about advanced English learning, go down into the description box right now. I have provided a specific link. If you click it and subscribe just once, you will automatically receive premium free English learning articles delivered directly to your email inbox for free every single time we publish. It is an unparalleled resource to ensure your reading and comprehension skills remain as sharp as your speaking skills. Linguistic immersion is the ultimate key to fluency. The more consistently you surround yourself with the target language across diverse mediums, analytical audio, complex reading, and active speaking, the more rapidly your brain will internalize the structures.
And speaking of maintaining that immersion, if you enjoyed the depth and the format of this deep dive, there are dozens of equally detailed podcasts available right now on my channel. Go check them out, build a playlist, and binge watch your favorites to continuously surround yourself with high-level English. The more hours you spend listening to these psychological breakdowns, the more natural and intuitive these advanced grammatical structures will feel when you need to speak.
As you close this episode and return to your day, remember the core scientific reality we uncovered today that next time a post on a screen makes you feel physically small or anxious, stop and interrogate it. Ask yourself if it is actually a near comparison showing you a viable path, or just a far comparison engineered by an algorithm to trigger your biology. You possess the agency and the moral right to protect your mental space.
It is your mental space. Guard it fiercely. Thank you so much for investing your time with us today and for putting in the rigorous, active work required to elevate your English. Keep your learning honest, keep your conversations real, and we will absolutely see you in the next deep dive.